gonna call the meeting to order and then let's introduce everyone.
Okay,
I'll
again,
start.
Jessica, I'm gonna rely on you on your video.
Yes, I'll give you the transcript and the video like I always do, Janet.
That is so great not to have to do two things at once.
Yes, I agree.
So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Jean Goldsberry. I'm the chair of the commission. And Karen, you want to?
Karen Young, I'm a commission member. I am Jess Porter, the assistant town manager and HR director and several other things.
And assigned to us.
Yes.
Yay. You can-
I'm Michael Williams, I'm running for school committee, but I'm just here more to learn, particularly because the commission's come up with respect to the amenities building, and I want to understand, so I'm just here to learn.
Okay, great.
There's something strange with
And online, Janet, you want to introduce yourself?
Am I what?
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm sorry, Janet Byer. I'm clerk of this organization. And
Okay. All right, Peter,
And I'm Peter Nobley. I'm a commission member.
Jennifer,
Hi, I'm Jennifer Brooks, commission member.
and Meryl.
Hi, I'm Meryl Schwartz, also a commission member.
Great. And then we
yeah,
have.
I was talking when the first people were introducing themselves. Can we just go back to the beginning?
Sure, let's finish the people on screen first.
Oh, I thought okay, sorry.
Okay, so on screen is Peter, Jennifer, and Meryl who have introduced themselves. And I can't quite read from here the names. Can you?
Okay, I could just go. I'm Mark Howell. I'm the select board liaison to the commission.
And actually, Mark, because of how the commission is structured by the state, you are actually a voting member of the
Yes.
commission. It's an unusual situation.
Yep.
And then we have two guests, Justine and Laura on the video as well.
Okay, and at the table, Janet, myself, and Karen, and Jessica, and Dr. Wilson.
Williams.
Oh, I'm so sorry, I keep
Okay.
doing that.
It's okay.
Okay. So first thing, we need to approve minutes from November 21st and January 23rd. And for those of you who don't know, we did gather, some of us gathered in February, but we did not have a quorum, so we do not have minutes. We heard a little bit about hearing loss access at the townhouse, but we were not able to debate anything or make any motions. So January minutes, are there any additions, changes?
Does anybody remember?
I read them a while ago.
I'll move that we approve those minutes.
Okay, okay, Karen seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi,
Opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. Now we have the November 21st minutes. We're taking our brains a little farther back. And that's the meeting where Captain Goldman from the police department and Deputy Chief Latta were here to talk with us about Concord 250.
That was fun.
It was a good meeting. Comments, changes?
I'll move that we approve those minutes as well.
Okay. Second. All right, and Karen seconds again. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
hi.
Opposed? Okay, good. So we will not be able to review the AAB variance request for the Concord Center for Visual Arts at this meeting. Kirsten first, who is the person who brought that forward and asked us for our thoughts about it and some advice, and she got, I think, some wonderful advice from Jennifer and Peter. She is flying herself today and not able to be here. So I think the computer wants you to do something.
Alex asked me to reboot, thank you. I reboot,
Yeah.
in the middle of our meeting.
So she asked if we could put this on for our April meeting, so I told her, yes, of course, we'll put it on for the April meeting. I did ask her if that was going to put her too far behind with her project, and she said, no, really not. So we'll see, we'll hear from her in April. Accessibility plan for Concord. I'm looking at you on screen, Jennifer.
Why don't I don't have anything that can forward what we've already discussed, but just for the purposes of folks that are here tonight, I'll very quickly recap where we're at, because it's been a conversation we've had over several meetings, and I don't think we've had the same group of people at each meeting.
Right.
But very, very briefly, it is a law that each town that has a government has what's called a transition plan or an accessibility plan. Concord has one. It was a plan, I think, just correct, I think it was initially done in 2008, and then it was updated in 2016. The update that was done in 2016 should have captured any and all additional changes to the ADA made in 2010. It doesn't. So in fact, the most updated transition plan that Concord has, the town of Concord has, only addresses our public sidewalk. And in fact, that is only a very small fraction of what the transition plan is supposed to cover, which is all of the services and programs that are offered publicly. That's what it's really supposed to cover. So we have this plan in our sites here for this committee. Typically, a transition plan is done in pieces. The first piece being a self-evaluation. A self-evaluation can be exactly that, done in-house in a structured way that then leads to the creation of a document which ends up being the transition plan. Another way of doing it is many towns, because these transition plans can be unwieldy, they hire a third-party consultant to come in and help the town walk through the production of a compliant transition plan. So the last time this commission spoke about this, we said, let's first try to dig up all the information that we have, that we've already paid for, and understand how much of that's still relevant and where the gaps are. And so that's the last sort of step that we've taken as a commission. Ideally, once we understand where those gaps are, we can then create a plan of action for how to start filling those gaps. We've embarked on that conversation a little bit already. And again, I'll wrap this up. The piece that we've talked about is starting to reach out to every department head in our town government and have them understand that this is a process that we're interested in, willing, and want to take on going forward. It will take the cooperation of everyone involved to be able to report back on what's working and what's not working from an accessibility perspective. And again, this isn't just about doorways and desk heights. This is about access to programs and services. So that would be sort of like that first step once we ourselves have a better idea of what the ground looks like right now. And that's kind of where we left off. there's a lot going on in town right now. The 250 is kind of taking up a lot of airtime and headspace for most people, including myself. Anyone who's got the kids in high school, we're in, there's just a lot going on. So I don't think we would be able to get anyone's attention truly, at least for another couple of months. But that'll give us an opportunity again to go through the plan that Jessica found. Thank you so much for finding that plan, Jess, because that was exactly what we were looking for. That was an external third-party plan evaluation that was done. I think that was 2008, and I haven't had a chance to read through it page, from beginning to end. So I will try to put that on my radar for next month, so our next meeting, so we can continue to have a conversation and this doesn't get left behind. But that's pretty much where we're at right now with the accessibility transition plan for Concord.
Thank you, Jennifer. So I'm just looking at the April calendar. Second Tuesday in April, or Thursday in April, would be April 10th. I know I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but just thinking about what can get done between now and the 250th.
And we actually won't be able to meet on the 10th because there's a public hearing for the budget that night. It's one of the
Prepping
meetings
for town
yeah,
meeting.
so we've been asked to try to avoid scheduling meetings unless we think we can be done by the time it starts, which I think it starts at 7, but.
Oh, yeah, we would have no problem being
Yeah.
done, but.
Dean, I think with all of the different things going on at the town level, why don't, for our next meeting, if we do have it on April 10th, I'll just commit to summarizing what I see are the gaps in our current transition plan based on the one that we had in 2008. Again, the update is not a complete, it's not a complete plan at all. It's not even a plan, it's just a sidewalk review. It's really that first plan that Justice found that I'll be able to read through and try to offer maybe what our next step should be.
Do you have the bandwidth to do that, Jennifer?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
all right.
It's just I'm not producing anything. All I'm doing is reading through it. I'm happy if anyone
Okay.
else is interested. I think Jessica, you sent it out to the entire commission.
Yes.
I've got it
and-
too. I'll try to read through it too, but thank you.
Yeah. So if others want to read through it, please feel free.
Okay.
But I don't think that's the most productive thing for us to all be sitting around reading through that.
Mhm.
I definitely think that having our own feeling about what our next steps should be, and then comparing that with, for example, the New England ADA Center has an excellent step-by-step guide for towns that are interested in doing this on their own or that are interested in updating. Some towns are completely out of compliance, to be honest, and have no transition plan. And so there are some really good step-by-step instructions out there. Whether or not they fit our immediate situation, we'll just have to kind of, try to make our situation match with some of those things. But I feel like that would be our next step, is really just to understand sort of what the priority might be and have our commission have a conversation about what those priorities are.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jennifer and Peter. I will just remind you, if we need a little bit of money to go toward this, we do have about $5,000 or just over $5,000. So again, it's only a tiny bit of money when you think about projects like this, but if we needed something. Okay, thank you. Let's move on to the Concord Employment and Services Act.
Yes,
Jennifer, I'm gonna,
here's a packet for you, because I don't know if you gathered any of your stuff. So this is APP, which is an administrative policy and procedure, number 41, pertaining to employment and services for people with disabilities. So the first one, that looks like this, that's, last revised 02/11, that's the last time this was updated, so this is the one that's in place today. We've given you a very scary looking red line version, which nobody can probably decipher, and then the one with the yellow highlighting that says revised 2025 is the one that we're just looking to kind of have this commission review and give any input, or if they think it's good to go. Just go ahead and vote recommendation to have it implemented, and then APPs are implemented by the town manager, so those policies all fall under her purview, but we definitely want to be able to say that this was presented to the Commission on Disability for feedback. And it's basically just updated to kind of use more modern and inclusive language. You'll see we even changed the title for, employment services for disabled persons to people with disabilities. And that's really kind of the consistent theme throughout, we're just kind of updating it and modernizing it, since it's been quite a while, since 2011, when this was last updated.
so the one thing I wondered about, you've added newspaper notices. What about putting something on the website as well?
And I think newspaper notices was highlighted as well, because we weren't sure if there was actually still stuff done in the newspaper, but that does make sense to potentially
Yeah,
add
I mean,
website.
yeah. I would think the Concord Bridge would be
Yeah.
willing to publish something,
Sure.
if it's coming from the town.
For what it's worth, my suggestion would be public notices seems to me to be inclusive of newspaper, and putting in something that you might end up not doing just kind of creates a little bit of problem. So I'd be comfortable if it just read public notices.
Okay.
So let me, not to belabor it too much, but does the town post job openings on the website?
We on the website, yes,
On the
but
website.
not, like, it's very rare we'll put one in the print
Right,
newspaper
sure,
anymore, because
yeah.
it's not where people are going for,
Yeah.
jobs anymore. I mean, we could simply say, communicate this policy through public postings and notices, and that kind of captures all that. To Mark's point, he's right, if we call it
Yeah.
a specific place and then it doesn't get them.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would seem reasonable to me if the town is posting job openings on the website, that it would post this policy on the website.
Yes, and it is on our website, it's just
Okay.
the old version.
Okay, all right, so the new version would go on.
Yes, this, as soon as it gets, blessed by the town manager, after you guys hopefully take your vote, then it will be updated. And this is actually part of a bigger project as well. We have a staff member that's actually in the process of updating all of the APPs. Personnel board and HR has been working through updating all of the personnel policies. We're trying to get everything just fresh, updated with proper language, and, if any laws have changed,
Yeah.
so it's
A lot of work for you.
exactly.
So do you need a formal vote from us?
Yeah, I
to
think a
approve
vote
this?
just with the amendment to just change that bullet number 2, to
Mhm.
communicate policy through public postings and notices. And not putting in website specific or newspapers, so if somebody wants to make a motion to vote that with that proposed amendment, then
Okay,
that'd be great.
would someone be willing to make a motion?
I move to accept the APP employment and services for people with disabilities as amended. Is that enough?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
perfect.
Okay, is there, looks like
second it.
Peter's. Thank you, Peter. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
But
Opposed?
we didn't say how it was being amended.
The amendment is to just change number 2 on the second part to the town has communicated this policy through public postings and notices.
Okay,
Rather than calling out specifically the newspaper or the website or things, so just public postings and notices.
Okay, thank you for your work on that.
No, thank you, this is
Looking
great.
at the redlined copy, it was a lot of work.
We like to try to show the changes, because a lot of groups want to see like, well, what's changed, but sometimes it's too hard to even read, but that's why we do kind of the old,
Yeah.
the new, and somebody wants to brave the scary red line, then you can have at it.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, hybrid town meetings is a holdover from last month. And I put that on because there have been requests from some towns that all of the public meetings be held hybrid, so that people with disabilities or maybe families with young children that can't get out as much, or, you know, somebody that's not feeling well on a given day, whatever, would be able to attend meetings. Let me put you on the spot a little bit, Mark. Have you, on the select board, had any requests for this or heard anything about it?
To get off mute. Yes, the town meeting study task force, as you know, has been meeting, and they are the ability to have town meeting itself in a hybrid format, of course, is something that we cannot do because that would require an act of the state legislature to do that. And I was just checking the list of articles. I believe that they are putting an article on town meeting this year to request a home rule petition that would enable it. So I think at some point it might make sense for this commission to consider supporting that. I'm just double checking the draft list to make sure I'm not making this up.
No, I think there is something on there. I got a copy of the latest draft this morning, and I'm pretty sure there was an article in there.
Yeah, so the town meeting study committee is gonna report out to town meeting. That's a little unusual. Because as you might recall, the town meeting study committee is a committee created by town meeting to make recommendations. And one of their recommendations this year, of course, is the use of electronic clickers, but that still is restricted to the venue itself. The town open town meeting has to be held in person by law, but they are looking to propose that we support the idea of asking for new legislation to permit that.
Okay, thank you. And I think at
Yeah.
least the article that I read in, I think, the Globe was aiming to make not just the official town meeting, but all meetings of a town nature be hybrid meetings.
Yes, and the select board, that's a separate thing, and of course, it's generally our policy. We're holding this meeting in a hybrid format right now. And Concord's been very supportive of that, and we have also drafted a letter to our legislators requesting that they extend the COVID era authorization to allow and permit meetings to continue to be held virtually and in hybrid format. So that's separate, and according to it is Article 27, as I understand it, remote participation at annual and special town meetings. So we're doing both.
Okay, great. Would it be helpful for the commission to vote to support that and be co-signer on the letter from the select board?
I think the letter already went out.
Okay.
I had thought of that in the first
All right.
place. There was the current authorization under which we're holding hybrid meetings expires on March 31st. So we're hoping for action relatively soon on that, and so we kind of
Yeah.
handled it quickly.
Okay.
But I would also suggest that, if Article 27 is something that this commission wants to support, that would be something that we might want to take action on, after it's been presented at the public hearing.
So members, what's your feeling about it? I mean, we've been meeting hybrid for years. Do we want to write a letter to support Article 27? Jennifer, I saw your hand up.
We've talked about this relative to our own experience, Jean, on this commission, and highlighted the higher level of participation that happens when we hold the meetings hybrid. And so I don't think there's anything in this commission's experience that would argue against the having hybrid meetings whenever and however possible. From a disability perspective, you don't just have to have a disability yourself, but if you are caring for someone with a disability whom you cannot haul literally with you to town meeting while it's happening, then you miss out. You cannot participate. So, and that's been the case all along. So I think it's not just good for people with disabilities. It's good for anyone and everyone who takes care of or is a care provider for someone with disabilities.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. You're absolutely correct on that.
I would second that and reinforce that it's an inclusive strategy. It's not just about disability. It's really about making town meeting accessible to everybody, welcoming, inclusive of everybody. So.
Yes. All right. So I don't think we need a formal vote. I'm happy to write a letter to our reps and our senator and just ask for their support for Article 27. And then maybe we can take a look at the town's warrant article at our next meeting.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay.
And I can get a copy of the letter that the select board sent.
Oh, great.
And
Okay.
hopefully you don't have to completely recreate the wheel on that, so.
Sure. Okay. Potential new members, I apologize. I have not taken time to get together with Jennifer or with Janet, I'm sorry, to go through the green cards. That's all on me. Things were very, very, very busy at my work. And then I've been off taking care of some family business this week. So I'm behind on that. I will get together with you, Janet, before the next meeting to review green cards, and hopefully we can bring another member
Yep, nothing on
to.
my calendar for the next month, so
Okay,
name the date.
wonderful. All right, I'll take a look and reach out. Yeah, Jennifer.
Dean, can you remind us how many open seats we have on our commission right now?
So we have 9 positions total, including the select board member. And
2, isn't it?
so
2, 3.
2,
I think we
right,
have
yes,
2.
yeah, I think we have 2. And I think I want to reach out to Lloyd to find out, he's missed many meetings, and so it may be a case that he's just got other things going on in his life and not the time to spend on this commission.
I was going to bring that up. I'm glad that you did. And so if Lloyd has decided to move on, then that would mean we have 3 open seats. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, super. All right. Thank you.
And if any of you know of someone who is interested in joining the commission, please encourage them to fill out a green card.
We have
And-
someone who's attending our meeting today, Laura, and I just wondered if someone had invited you, Laura, or whether this was just something that interested you.
Actually, the reason I'm here is Justine Martinelli, who's also, I think, here for the first
Oh.
time. And yeah, she's been, I think, so, she's filled out a green card or applied, and
Great.
and I've now very much piqued my interest. We're both parents of disabled children in Concord, and continue to see areas of improvement, and came here tonight with one specific timely concern that we were hoping to bring forward if there's
Okay, well, I think we're at the point where we're at correspondence and miscellaneous, so please, let's hear your concern.
happy to fall within miscellaneous.
Yes.
So let's see, Justine and I both have children who are graduating from the Concord Ripley Integrated Preschool. They're both physically disabled. My son is a wheelchair user, and I believe both of them are going to end up at Thoreau, which is the school that is designed to cater to children with physical disability. And I don't know how many of who's here tonight is aware of the Thoreau backyard. It's a new playground that's being built. There's Ethan. And it is being fundraised for very actively through the PTG, but it is being built on school ground. And I think there's a kind of gray area of overlap of whose ownership. I was approached 2 months ago to kind of I was sitting at a CPAC meeting. I'm not officially involved with CPAC, but attend the meetings and raised my hand to say, sure, I'll meet with the co-chairs to review the design. And I think the co-chairs had the best of intention and felt as though they had designed something inclusive. But living with a child who's a wheelchair user and going to many playgrounds, it's not an inclusive design. It's incredibly upsetting that in this day and age, they feel as though they've worked with an inclusive designer and then can put something forward, and truly best of intentions. But what's doubly frustrating, and where we're really having to turn to perhaps you guys for help if it's within your purview, is that despite multiple conversations with the co-chairs, speaking with the principal, speaking with the head of special needs within the school system, being on multiple emails with Lori Hunter, CC'd, who's the superintendent, we are not being heard, and there's been no credible change to the design. And we asked very specifically to have a representative of children with physical disabilities to sit on the committee, and that was not fulfilled. They instead had appointed somebody who has a child with a different type of disability to kind of fill the disability box. And so that's kind of where we're at presently, and wondering what our next step could be and how we can find support and bolster our voice, because right now it feels pretty disheartening, and ultimately we want exactly what they want, which is a truly inclusive playground, and they just don't know that they haven't gotten that design, and they're not hearing us. And my concern is really for the town as a whole. They want this children like our sons to stay in the school system. And we want that too, But if they're gonna design a playground that is more than half wood chips, which is totally inaccessible to a wheelchair user, it creates playtime segregation and teaches everybody out there that the experience of being disabled is a less than experience. So we're here to ask for your insights and your help. Sorry, I just jumped on that train,
That's-
Justine. Anything to add?
That's fine. I would just, I think Laura provided a great summary. I just wanted to add, yesterday I did send an email to the commission and Mark CC'd you, sorry. With the deck that we've provided to the playground committee as well as school administration outlining our concerns with the proposed layout. So the committee or the commission should be in receipt of that email. So just wanted to add that.
Yeah.
I just want to add that this was brought up at the last school committee meeting, the same concern about wood chips and, in the same vein by different
Mhm.
parents.
Okay. Jennifer, I see you like holding yourself in.
And I guess I
So-
would just like to extend upon Laura that the wood chips make the playground inaccessible. There's also a matter of just the play structures and elements that have been included that, as Laura said, really promote some segregation on the playscape. And I would venture to say that over 90% of the playground, as far as play structures, aren't inclusive. So we're talking no ramps or slide access. And when we raised this to the committee, the responses we got regarding the design were extremely ableist in nature, which was concerning to us.
Wow.
Okay.
Jennifer,
Do you want to comment on it or no?
I do.
Want to hide under the table.
I want to thank Laura and Justine for coming and expressing your concerns first and foremost. So I run a landscape architecture office here in Concord, and I have a son who's 18 now, and he uses a wheelchair. He's also deaf and blind. And our landscape practice has evolved to create a real bailiwick for us of work in the accessibility arena because of our personal experience and just because it's how you design well today. It's like managing stormwater, and it's like being environmentally responsible. It's just what you have to do, right? So that being said, there's a couple of things here. I met with Mitch Brooks. He asked for someone to come and meet with him because he emailed me through through work. I met with him. I had two concerns that I made very, very clear because he wasn't interested in having me review design. He just wanted advice on plants. I said, you've got a lot more problems in plants. You actually have to make this an accessible space. First and foremost, it's on public property.
Period.
And end of story.
Right.
End of story. Like, there is no other argument that needs to be made. If it is not accessible, we all, as citizens of Concord, should go to the AAB, the access board, and complain. And that, unfortunately, is what happens, especially in towns that don't have disability commissions and that don't have kind of more local strategies for resolving issues like this. So I'm really glad you came. Hopefully we can help resolve the issue. So there's no black or white. It just is. It just has to be accessible. Now, the one thing I would argue is that there's a big difference between meeting the letter of the law with accessibility and ADA and CMR 521 and all these other things at the state level, and inclusive design. There's two very different things. What is required is ADA accessibility. What goes above, kind of like you can think of it as sort of a stretch code, is inclusivity. So if we're talking about not meeting ADA standards, there's no can I, can't I. It's you must meet those standards. If we're talking about inclusivity and community attitudes, that's actually ironically a lot harder to get at. So I think it's important to understand, we don't understand right now, and we'd have to dig into your concerns and look at this more carefully to understand where, if it's not meeting the ADA standard. I think that's one of the more important things.
Laura has started to compare some of the layout with some of the ADA guidelines, and we're not ADA experts as far as all the legal language. So you know, there was some discussion between us. Do we hire an attorney to look at that, you know, on our behalf? There's certainly, you know, a broader issue with the inclusive nature of the design, right? And I hear you on that becomes a lot more difficult. I will say it's frustrating for us as parents because the marketing behind the fundraising for the playground leads off with the guiding principle of an inclusive playground, which this design is not. And so, you know, we are doing our best, you know, to advocate for our children. And our concern is the timeline for this is quickly approaching. It was communicated to us that in early April, the committee would need to try to finalize plans for the purchase of structures. And so we've been trying to move this forward through other channels. And as Laura said, have not really gotten any firm commitments or responses. And that's where we thought it appropriate to hopefully see if any of this would fall under your purview and hopefully have the support of the committee.
Dr. Williams.
Just a question, perhaps, if I may, you mentioned that you can satisfy the letter of the law, but not the intent of inclusivity. That's more difficult. Is there a mechanism in your experience that you can employ to sort of argue for both being included under advocating for the letter of the law being sort of stringently adhered to? It's a question.
Right. Unfortunately, no. The letter of the law is really where we have any teeth to ask for any kind of design or accommodation. Outside of that, it becomes a PR campaign and a community attitude and a public pressure campaign is really what happens after that. There's a couple of other things which, Dr. Williams, since you're on the school committee, and this is related to accessibility, is that the plan that I saw, I haven't seen it in a while, so I don't know, looks like a lot of maintenance over time to keep up. And that is not a problem that most parents whose children have graduated from a school care about once they've graduated from the school. It lands fully on the back of the taxpayers in the town who have to pay for their public works departments to keep up and maintain a playground. And this one had lots of planting and grass and open space that needs to be maintained, as well as wood chips. And I'm just going to say one thing about wood chips. So there is a product, it looks like wood chips. It's called engineered wood fiber. And it's not a nugget shaped piece of wood. It's actually more shredded, but what it does is it provides an impact-resistant surface that is approved for use on playgrounds. It is, unfortunately, many, many years ago, it was approved as a industry-wide accessible surface, which we all know people who use wheelchairs or even umbrella strollers, it's really not an accessible surface. But one of the caveats is that in order to maintain its accessibility as a surface, it needs to be maintained, raked every 2 weeks. We all know that there's no playground on earth where they go out with rakes and smooth out and rake out the wood chip surface to make sure that it maintains its accessible nature. And so it is a kind of catch-all. The EWF, engineered wood fiber, is a catch-all for a very inexpensive, accessible surface, knowing full well that the maintenance that's required to keep it accessible will probably never happen. So I don't know, and the EWF, engineered wood fiber, and sorry, we're getting into the weeds, but it is slightly more expensive than your standard playground wood chip. And so even then, it's hard to get that surface in lieu of the regular playground wood chip. So maintenance long-term, not just on the wood chip surfaces, if that's what they end up going with, because it will meet the letter of the law, unfortunately, the EWF. But maintenance long-term is going to be a problem for accessibility no matter what.
We did inquire about the type of product. What Mitch had communicated it would be wood chips. My husband actually then inquired about how often those would need to be replaced and what the maintenance would be relative to the one-time cost of a rubberized surface. And if the plan itself doesn't enrage you, this next comment might, which is we were told that we could have rubberized surfaces if Laura and I could come up with the fundraising for it ourselves. So that was the response back that we got from the committee, is they're happy to include it if we could get a commitment for $165,000 in the next few weeks. To further enrage you, I will tell you that we were also told that their perception of the design was that wheelchair users, when we raised the fact that they wouldn't have access to any of the elevated play structures, was that they assumed that the ropes courses they had built would encourage wheelchair users to build upper body strength to promote access. So when we come forward to this committee, we've tried to be very diplomatic in our conversations with the playground committee, with the school administration, but I will tell you very candidly that Laura and I are somewhat enraged by the ableist conversations that have taken place amongst this committee. And again, therefore we come to you looking for support and we'll take any guidance that you can offer as to how best to move this forward, even if it means going to the court of public opinion and trying to rally the community behind us.
Well, just one more, just to respond, Justine,
And then Janet has a comment after you, Jennifer.
I will stop talking. At the end of the day, the parent can run ramshod across whatever landscape and whatever people's feelings they want. We can't do anything about that. But if they get sued, it won't be the parents getting sued, it will be the town. So it is really in the town's court to make damn sure that this playground that's being maybe foisted upon them, I'm not sure, but that to make damn sure that the playground is within compliance with ADA, because otherwise the town will get sued, not the parents. So if I was the town and I was in the position of having to own this product at the end of the day, a public product that needs to be accessible to everyone, I would be worried.
Yeah, Janet. Janet, you had
Is this the playground that I got a letter asking for funds to?
probably.
Okay.
Yes.
The row.
I would think that the people who sent that letter who asking me for funds would be very responsive to a letter to the editor. This is not a town thing. This is a personal these are parents or whatever who are raising money for this. And I would think that they would be moved to know that there is a group in town that objects to what they're doing, or who would like improvements to what they're doing. More so than writing a letter to the town, which, you know, kind of gets lost in. These are
Do you,
personal people. These
do
are
any of the,
individuals as opposed to town people. And I would think that a letter from us pointing out what you have said would have a real effect, rather than just be dropped into the deep well of letters to the town.
are you suggesting writing to the bridge?
Yeah,
Oh,
I would be
definitely.
I would be very happy to draft that for you. In fact, I already have a draft.
and tell them, and just saying that, you know, you've been asked for funds for this. I mean, you say it subtly, but you're asking for money for a playground that is not accessible. And to tell them why, tell them the importance of it, and that children have wheelchairs and that the wheelchairs can't, just outlining the whole thing and making it very personal and very emotional. And I think that would be, I think that would have an effect, because they're raising funds for this. And they're raising funds for us. You don't agree, Jennifer?
Oh, sorry, I do, Janet, agree. I think it sounds like, and I may be wrong, but it sounds like Laura and Justine have tried this approach to some extent face-to-face with this group of people based on what they've told us tonight. I have no doubt that a letter to the bridge would be an excellent idea. Just because parents raise money, it doesn't exclude them from following the law, which is that if it's a project on public land, it needs to be publicly built unless it is
Okay.
being done by volunteers, which I imagine this project is too big for something like that. So, and that includes being accessible. So I think
That could be pointed out, but I think we're appealing now, with this, we're appealing to a private group of citizens who are raising money from us for something that is not useful for all of us. And I think to take it out of the public domain and put it into the private domain would put a different spin on it.
Yes, Meryl, you had your hand up, and Peter, I saw yours as
Yeah.
well. So Meryl,
I understand where you're coming from, Janet, but I would like to support Jennifer's point that this is a public playground, and that I think as a commission, we need to make a statement to the town, to the select board, to the school committee, that that this has not been approved by our commission, and that we have some responsibility for input. And this is not that the attempts to make this accessible have not really been met. And I think from what we've heard, I think we have every right to make a public statement. I mean, we can't bring a lawsuit, but we can certainly, write a letter to the bridge, write a letter to the select board.
And we're talking two different things. I'm talking about appealing emotionally to the town and to the people who are on this committee. You're talking about tackling the town. Fine, we've written to the town before. It gets lost in a big swamp of, other mail. I'm talking about a personal, emotional letter to the bridge with tears on it.
Right, from whom though? That is my question.
From the commission.
I would, what?
From the commission.
I think from the commission, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's my point.
From the
I think
commission.
that we
But addressing just
need,
this one issue that we are
Right.
People are asking us for money for a project which is not accessible to our children.
right,
I would make it very personal and very emotional and hit them where it hurts.
Can I just raise a
Peter,
point?
yeah, Peter, you have a
Okay,
comment,
so-
and then I have one, and I think Karen as well.
Yeah,
Go
so
ahead.
thank you for bringing this to our attention. This is just outrageous. So I actually think it's gotta be more than a letter because, this reminds me of the whole crumb rubber thing. I don't know if you remember that.
Mhm.
Whenever there's a public-private thing around schools, it has anything to do with sports or athletics, the weird comes out of town. There's no way around it. And the fact that you're raising the deadline thing, that just makes it worse, because now everybody's got money and time and so I think this is a little bit of a like all points. Can we see the design? Do we have access to it? We, the commission?
I did just circulate to everybody the website, because I went on to just kind of
Oh.
read about it, so I did send a link to that. There's not a ton on there, but
I
It
can
is
share it on
interesting.
screen if that's helpful.
when you read about all the accessibility they want, when you're reading what they have on their website, it definitely is not in alignment with what Justine and Laura are sharing.
I
But I
also
think-
wonder with the law that Jennifer was speaking to earlier, like we have the ADA law, but I also think that there is fundraising under false pretenses. And if they are really driving home the inclusivity, and their language on the website is that every single person, child and caregiver should feel like this was built for them. And so I wonder if there's some space legally in that realm. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer.
Mark's got his hand
Yeah,
up.
so I think for the commission, we've got sort of two avenues here. One is that it is the town's responsibility to ensure that this park that is being built on public land is fully accessible by the ADA. And that is, as you point out, Jennifer, that's where we have the teeth. That we can absolutely insist on. The other piece is we can request and advocate for and push that the entire thing be as inclusive as possible. We don't have teeth there, but we certainly have knowledge, we have expertise on this commission who can assist with it. We have, the backing of the town and the Commonwealth, because we are a commission, to explore these issues and to support people with disabilities, children and adults. So I think we need to look at both of those avenues in order to kind of promote what we would hope this playground could be. And asking two parents to raise $160,000 in 2 weeks or a month or whatever it is that's abhorrent. It's ridiculous and it's abhorrent. That, no one asks someone to make a curb cut accessible and pay for the curb cut at the corner of their block. It's the responsibility of the town. Mark, you have your hand up, and then I know, Dr. Williams here has a comment.
Yes, thank you. It seems to me that first, I'm in full agreement with the comments that have been made so far and would like to help to find a way through this. It seems to me that it's appropriate for the Commission on Disability to communicate directly with the school committee. We are talking about Thoreau School. The facility and property is under the care and custody of the school committee, so they are the decision makers there. And I think the presumption in a letter should be that the school committee, of course, should be interested in the assistance and confirmation from the Commission on Disabilities that at a minimum, the ADA requirements are being met. before approving any project that's going to be done on school property. Because it's a K-8 school, there may be a smidgen more leverage because that is a town of Concord only. I know that when we talk about things like the amenities building and the regional property, we get into a different level of independence from the school committee. But it seems to me that being very, very direct about setting the expectation that a concern has been raised about about what level of accessibility is going to be present in this facility, and that this commission stands ready to help ensure that all all representations are going to be met, would be the correct approach there. And if that letter is made public, I think that's also sensible. I would say that would be the first step, at least in my mind, is a direct communication board to board. And then, I understand and certainly the sense of concern and interest in putting it in the court of public opinion, but I think I'd give the school committee at least one opportunity to do the right thing here.
Very good. Yes, that's a really good point, Mark.
Yeah.
Dr. Williams.
Thank you. If I may, a question, a comment, this does seem very similar to what happened at the combined school committee FinCom the combined meeting addressing the Doug White Fields. And we have the money and we can build it. And to my understanding, the select board and under the town manager looked at the due diligence to look at, are we building it in a manner that's safe for our community? And so in the same fashion, I think, are we building it in the manner that's safe and accommodating to all members of our community, which is incumbent upon the school committee? That's the kind of question would be to Jennifer, are there examples of best practices across the communities that have tackled this problem, otherwise that we could hold up as a model to be emulated? So you can say, and this is how things have been done in a more inclusive fashion that accommodates all comers, because the concept of a playground is a playground, not a system to build upper body strength. It's a playground, and examples of ways that it's been done better in other municipalities.
Okay. Jennifer, I'll let you answer, and then Justine, I see you have your hand up, and Mary.
Do you think, yes, there are plenty of examples that we can point to. The Ripley Playscape and the integrated preschool playground are meant to be inclusive in different ways and complementary ways. So for example, the integrated preschool, where I think both Laura and Justine's kids are at right now, has a rubber surface and equipment that was selected for its diversity. And so just our office helped design that. The town built it. And the Ripley Playscape is different, offers a different set of experiences than what you can find on the playground there. And where necessary, there is rubber. So there's also just one other thing to think through. And there, just as a person who designs playgrounds, accessible playgrounds for a living, I will tell you that the standards that the ADA has for what they call accessibility on playgrounds is abysmal. And that is a problem that we're not going to solve here. And we're probably not going to solve at our community level, that's for sure. But I think it's useful to recognize that they are abysmal and that the value that they offer in many cases, not all, but many cases, is not value that anyone would consider developmentally appropriate and certainly not inclusive. And so there are, for example, accessibility standards for a sports field only require that you reach the edge of the field. That's meeting the code, right? Makes no sense, but that's meeting the code. There are playground objects, big toys, that have accessibility standards that really don't require one to allow a child to reach up to a second level. They can stay all on the first level. Those are changing, but if we could craft an argument about inclusivity, I think that would be leading back to Janet's point and trying to build consensus around the altruistic opportunity we have here to spend town money in a way that benefits everyone. I think that's a good opportunity as well. So that's a long-winded way of saying, yes, there's plenty of examples we could point to, but there's also, maybe we make it a little smaller. We don't try to spread the money so thin. You make it a little smaller and you choose objects or opportunities for play that are more inclusive. Like that would be a perfect example of an argument one could make.
Okay, Justine, I know you had your hand up, and then Karen, and then Janet. And then I'm gonna suggest a couple of steps.
Sure. Just really quickly for the commission's benefit, I also wanted to point out the uniqueness of Thoreau School is that the integrated learning program, the ILP program, is there. So while I think there should be a standard for all playgrounds, throughout Concord, there is, children like my son Ethan, you say hi.
Hi, Ethan.
Will typically, get sent, if not out of district, to Thoreau for the K through 5th grade. I also just wanted to point out in response to one of the questions that Sudbury has done a fantastic job recently of setting a standard for what inclusive playground should be at their noise. They use port-in-place rubberized surfaces. So if we're looking to other communities who have kind of set the bar, Sudbury is, our neighbor and probably a good one to look at for inclusive play.
Okay, Meryl?
I just want to interject, when there are other building projects in town, in the past, the people have come to us in advance with the plans for us to look at. And, it's perhaps because they think it's a playground and not as important. That didn't happen here. And that was a big mistake. I think that this could have been done by the school committee, by the group a long time ago, as we have looked at plans before. This is sort of a routine we have participated in.
Yeah, that is always our hope, that people will come forward before they've got everything all set and ask for some ideas and assistance. Janet.
I think that this is not town funded. I was asked to contribute to this playground. This is I believe this is a privately funded playground. And I think that puts it in a very different category, and one in which we can get involved without going through all the steps that we usually have to go to play right. I think we can play dirty and just write a letter to the editor and say, this playground is being built and it doesn't meet accessibility standards. I don't think we have to go through all the, because it's
Well,
not
my understanding of it, Janet, is it's both.
Yeah.
It's partly funded by the school and partly funded by private fundraising, a la the letter that everybody got. I want to let Karen have an opportunity to.
I just want to express my support for making a letter or letters. I walk around West Concord all the time and I see all of these signs advertising, you know, support the new playground, and I had no idea what was behind this. So I think just the fact that we do send a letter and incorporate all of these ideas and you know, explaining what's really happening is important, because I had no idea, and I think that means a lot of people have no idea what this is, what is behind this playground, and we need to really kind of put that out there for everyone to be aware of.
Okay, Dr. Williams.
I actually came here to learn, didn't know I could speak. Just from sitting at 2 school committee meetings, months back, I was present when they did an initial presentation on, at the outset of the fundraising plan. And again, as I mentioned last evening, Tuesday evening, at the school committee meeting, another parents, the group of parents came on to discuss the exact same concern from the perspective of lack of wheelchair accessibility. Did not go on to the point of the lack of accessibility to some of the play structures. It's, again, we didn't know, sitting in the audience, hearing the presentation, we didn't know that this, we thought that this was gonna be fully accessible. And a great idea to go ahead and canvas for funding and a public-private mechanism, but hearing this is truly an eye-opener and something that I came to learn. I've learned a lot, so there are things I think we could do, should do.
Thank you. Okay, Jennifer, and then I have some thoughts about steps forward.
So while we've been talking, I've been looking at the plan on the website that Jessica just sent through, and I just want to make a couple of comments. So it looks like there are several reasonably and good attempts to make aspects of this playground accessible from the plan. So I think it's important to be able to parse out what is the ADA accessible equipment that's just really unsatisfactory, and that maybe a different choice could be made, but that meets the letter of the law, but just doesn't feel inclusive. I think it's really important that we split that hair, because again, we have no teeth if it is following the rules and we just don't like it, right? That's one scenario versus not being inclusive. That's the other. And then we see this a lot. You know, we could do nothing, so we're going to give you half accessibility and you should be grateful for it, because we could make the whole thing, you know, how we want, but we're going to make some of it accessible, and that should be enough, right? So that narrative is one that we hear a lot, and we're gifting it. You should be grateful. We're leaving you with this thing. Let us do what we want because we're gifting it to you. So they're going to all be long gone. So again, as a school committee, I think it's important we should communicate with them that they understand that they're the ones who are going to be left at the end of the day holding the bag. And that accessibility isn't a halfway thing. It either is or it isn't. It either meets code or it doesn't. And kind of meeting code doesn't mean that you're in compliance. It really needs to be 100%. So having a few things that work really, really well is excellent. But it looks like, from my perspective, just looking at the plan right now, it looks like they've gone some of the way, but there's more way to go before they can truly call it accessible across the board. So it may not be it's not 100% redo. It's just, it's about engaging and talking about the places that need to be addressed in their plan.
Okay, so I'm gonna suggest a couple of steps forward, because we're getting close to 6:25 here. I think we as a commission need to meet with the school committee. And I will find out when the next school committee meeting is. I'm happy as the chair to reach out to the chair of the school committee and really insist that we be on the next agenda. And I'm happy to go. Any of you who are available, please attend. Especially, it would be great if Jennifer or Peter would be able to be there because you are the ones with the expertise. I've got some lived stuff, but I don't have the expertise that you all have. So I think that is a first step. Janet, I think if they're just not gonna do anything, not gonna pay any attention, say we're good, we did this, we did the halfway thing, and y'all just better be happy with what we managed to do for you. Then we need to have a discussion about, do we make public statements against the fundraising aspect? I hate to see us as a body sort of step in and kind of spoil some of the fundraising enthusiasm if they are willing to say, oh geez, we didn't realize, and yeah, we'll fix this.
That would be fun.
So I would say, let's give them a chance to do that and to hear the concerns that we have. Certainly Justine and Laura, if you're able to be at the next school committee meeting, I'm happy to stay in touch with you. If you can send me your emails to my work email, that would be very helpful. My work email is jgoldsberry, GOLDSBERRY @minutemanarc.org. And then I'll make sure that you're in the loop for whatever happens, in terms of a meeting with the school committee. Oh, you've got the date.
School committee would be great.
March 25th, it looks like is the next school committee. Is there a time of day for that?
6 p.m.
Okay.
There's also a campus completion subcommittee that,
That's probably middle school related.
well, it is, but this is
Yeah.
campus completion too.
Yeah, okay,
The,
all right, so.
the playground committee meets every Friday morning from 9 to 10 as well. That would be Mitch Brook, who I believe Jennifer met with before, and their expanded committee. And so if you wanted to, I can help try to connect there too, if that's helpful. We've approached them and provided really, I think, really substantial feedback and really constructive feedback, and it's fallen on deaf ears, for lack of a better term. But I would be very curious if, with a little, if we could be bolstered by your group, but just
Sure.
putting that out there.
I'd be certainly willing to attend one of those. I'm not available tomorrow morning. There's a big Concord 250 meeting thing that I have to go to for my work. So, if any other members want to attend, please feel free, but, I can probably make the next one. If you can, again, just connect me with your email. So.
Or did you say every Friday at 10?
I think they meet every Friday from 9 to 10. And my understanding is that they basically just talk about fundraising concerns. I've never been welcome to join. Well, that's a lie. We were asked to present to them at one point, and then we spoke with Justin Sparks, the principal, ahead of that meeting. And Justin Sparks kind of said, I'll take your concerns to the committee for you. And then it kind of fell flat. And just they added a CPAC member. who has a child with different disability and kind of felt like they checked the box, and nothing else has changed or from our understanding. So one of my personal next steps was to reach back out and see if we could raise our concerns directly to them. But I would love to do that with somebody, not just speaking as one parent. There's a
Mhm.
lot more gravitas that I think is deserved if we're coming with the Commission of Disability. So
I'll go.
Right. Yay,
So,
thank you,
so
Jennifer.
Laura, if you want to try to reach out, I think, just as an aside, the more local and less inflamed we can keep the entire situation, the better, right? Because then that means everyone wins, right? And that's really the goal.
Right.
So I love the idea of let's reach out directly to the playground committee, and let's bring the Disability Commission on board so we can have a more clear conversation with them. Not that yours isn't clear, but like let's get their own words on the record. And I think that's a great idea. So if you want to try to set that up with them,
should
and
we
let
aim
them
for
know,
the 21st?
sure.
Okay.
Yes. Calendar's clear. Yes.
I think I could.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. And I will reach out to the school committee so that we can get on their agenda as well.
Does the
And-
principal have, is he the link perhaps to the school committee? And I'm wondering, can we work through him? And sort of, sort of get a one up on the whole situation by having a frank discussion with him? I'm just wondering if he carries a lot more weight.
Guidance we got from CPAC was that Angel Charles might be a better person to go to. We sent her an email, and I'm happy to forward that along to the commission as well, so that you guys can have full visibility into some of the correspondence we've had to date. So I can send that across. But yeah, the guidance we were given at this point from CPAC was to elevate it above Justin and incorporate Angel into those conversations.
Okay, sure. If you can send me that, I'll be happy to share it with the members of the commission. So, I would like to draw the meeting to a close unless there are other comments that people are just burning to make. I thank you very much, Justine and Laura, for coming tonight and sharing this with us, because I think we didn't know that this was the situation, and we certainly didn't know how kind of shabbily you've been treated. So, we'll continue ahead. I do want to remind the members, because I'll send your information out to them. We cannot have discussions over email. We can't send, oh, I agree, or I like that, or whatever comments to the group. Because we don't want to get in trouble with the open meeting law. So it is something that there are strong feelings about this, and reasonably so. So discussion needs to wait until our next meeting. If there's something that needs to happen before April 10th, I'll reach out to you to see if we can pull people together prior to the 10th of April. Otherwise, we'll hopefully have some follow-up from this meeting with the school committee to share on April 10th. And we'll have Kristen first back, and we'll talk a little about the accessibility plan for Concord.
Jean, can I ask a trick question? So
Yes.
if more than one of us goes to any of these school committee or playground meetings, those are actually the playground committee meetings may not be public meetings, are they?
I
Those-
don't think so.
So the only way we'd get into trouble there is if 3 of us or 2 of us start discussing something at those meetings outside. But what about a school committee meeting where that's a public meeting, but it's not our public meeting? We can take this offline. I've.
Yeah, you're fine. If a quorum or a majority is at a school committee meeting, as long as you're dispersed through the audience and you're just listening to the meeting, that's fine. But if you start having conversations again amongst yourselves and you haven't posted, that's where it's a problem. Or like after the meeting, if you all gather in the parking lot, like, oh, what'd you think? That's where you want to just tread very carefully.
Okay, thank you. That's what I was.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Thank you all.